Afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Rupinder Kaur Chawla with the Midday News. The headlines. India and US agree to realize the full potential of comprehensive global strategic partnership. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and US Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin review bilateral defense cooperation, resolve to further deepen ties. India records a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 4 crore 20 lakh doses. Centre asks states and union territories to ensure strict compliance of COVID-19 appropriate behaviour among people to curb rising coronavirus cases. Nepal gives emergency use authorization to Indian COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin. Prominent leaders of political parties hit the campaign trail in poll-bound states and union territory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses election rally at Kharagpur in West Medinapo district of West Bengal. International Day of Happiness and World Sparrow Day being celebrated today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greets people on Parsi New Year, Nowroz. In sports, world champion PV Sindhu to face Pomphavi Chochuang of Thailand in women's singles semi-finals of All England Open Badminton Championships today. And in cricket, India to take on England in 5th and final 2020 International in Ahmedabad at 7 this evening. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. India and US today agreed to realize the full potential of comprehensive global strategic partnership. They also reaffirmed that the closer cooperation with countries keen to uphold rules-based order can promote security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. In a joint press statement after his talks with US Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said it is consistent with India's policy of Sagar, which stands for security and growth for all in the region. He said the recent and first Leaders Summit of India, USA, Japan and Australia has emphasized the resolve to maintain a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. The Defence Minister said Secretary Austin responded with amazing keenness and zeal to the proposals to further strengthen and deepen the partnership for peace, prosperity and the establishment of a rules-based order in the region. Mr. Singh said during the talks they reviewed bilateral defence cooperation and resolved to further deepen the ties.
Our discussions today focused on our wide-ranging defence cooperation and expanding military-to-military engagement across services, information sharing, cooperation in emerging sectors of defence and mutual logistics support. We reviewed the wide gamut of bilateral and multilateral exercises and agreed to pursue enhanced cooperation with the US Indo-Pacific Command, Central Command and Africa Command.
The minister said India and US are determined to work together to realize the full potential of the comprehensive global strategic partnership.
We had a comprehensive and fruitful discussion with Secretary Austin and his delegation. We are keen to work together to realize the full potential of the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership.
Mr. Singh said both countries also plan to optimize the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, LEMOA, Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement of COMCASA and Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, BECA agreements and achieve their full potential to contribute to our security and prosperity. The Defence Minister said India and US felt the need for enhanced capacity building to address some of the non-traditional challenges.
We discussed the need for enhanced capacity building to address some of the non-traditional challenges such as oil spills and environment disasters, drug trafficking, illegal, underreported and underregulated fishing, etc.
Mr. Singh said he is looking forward to working with Secretary Austin closely to make the India-US relationship one of the defining partnerships of the 21st century. Mr. Singh said the first visit abroad of Secretary Austin to India shows his deep and abiding commitment to the bilateral defense relationship. In his statement, Mr. Austin said, India is an increasingly important partner in today's rapidly changing international dynamics. The U.S. Defense Secretary said he and Mr. Singh had a very productive discussion.
We discussed opportunities to elevate the U.S.-India major defense partnership, which is a priority of the Biden-Harris administration, and we'll do that through regional security cooperation and military-to-military interactions and defense trade. In addition, we are continuing to advance new areas of collaboration, including information sharing and logistics and artificial intelligence, and cooperation in new domains such as space and cyber.
Secretary Austin said Indo-US relationship is a stronghold of free and open Indo-Pacific region. He said Prime Minister Modi stated India stands for freedom of navigation and freedom of overflight, unimpeded lawful commerce in adherence to international law, and it reaffirms the shared vision for regional security.
We also discussed engagement with like-minded partners through multilateral groupings such as the Quad and ASEAN. And as the Indo-Pacific region faces acute transnational challenges, such as climate changes and challenges to a free and open regional order, cooperation among like-minded countries is imperative to securing our shared vision for the future.
Mr. Austin expressed condolences at the tragic accident that killed an Indian Air Force pilot earlier this week. The U.S. Defense Secretary was accorded a Tri-Service Guard of Honor at the Vigyan Bhavan lawns in the national capital just before the talks. In the morning, the U.S. Defense Secretary laid a wreath at the National War Memorial. Mr. Austin, who is on an official visit to India, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi yesterday. During the meeting, Prime Minister outlined his vision for the strategic partnership between both the countries and emphasized the important role of bilateral defense cooperation in India-US ties. The U.S. Defense Secretary also met National Security Advisor Ajit Doval last night.
India has recorded a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 4 crore 20 lakh doses. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has informed today that a total of 27,23,575 doses of vaccines have been administered to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. Talking to AIR News, member Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul has expressed happiness over this achievement.
The country surpassed a very, very significant milestone in our vaccination program against COVID-19 yesterday. We have crossed now total cumulative vaccination coverage of more than 4 crore. And this is among the very highest in the world in terms of the speed with which this milestone has been achieved. And it is also very credit-worthy that in this 4 crore coverage, more than 1.53 crore people are those who are above the age of 60 years, the senior citizens, who are the priority individuals and cohort who should be protected against COVID-19 disease at this point in time.
Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate reached 96.12% with a total recovery of 23,653 patients within 24 hours. The Health Ministry said more than 1 crore 11 lakh people have already been recovered from this disease. Amid the rising new cases, a total of 40,953 new cases have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1 crore 15 lakh. The Health Ministry said 188 deaths have been reported within a day, taking the toll to over 1,59,000 across the country. The Home Ministry has instructed all the states and union territories to take necessary steps to promote COVID-19 appropriate behavior among people and ensure strict enforcement of safety measures to curb the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. In a letter written to all the Chief Secretaries of States and Administrators of Union Territories by the Home Secretary, Ajay Bhalla, it is stressed that guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution must be strictly followed. It also asked to ensure wearing of masks, hand hygiene and social distancing. The Home Ministry has urged all the states and union territories to take necessary measures for creating awareness among people to follow COVID-19 appropriate behavior. This order came in the wake of rising cases of COVID-19 in some of the states and union territories.
Madhya Pradesh has reported its highest single-day spike of this year with 1,140 new COVID-19 cases yesterday. State Public Service Commission exam will be conducted tomorrow according to the predetermined schedule. We have a report.
In Madhya Pradesh, COVID positivity rate is 5.4%. Indore reported 309 new cases, while Bhopal reported 272 cases. Jabalpur reported 97 COVID positive cases. With 7 patients succumbing to the infection, the death toll increased to 3,901, while 556 people were discharged from hospitals. In spite of a Sunday lockdown announced in Indore, Bhopal and Jabalpur, students will be allowed to appear in competitive exams. Madhya Pradesh Public Service Commission mains exam are scheduled to be held from Sunday. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Bihar, all district authorities have been instructed to increase COVID-19 testing and carry out targeted screening of people with special focus on those returning from coronavirus-affected states. Random tests are being conducted at the airport, railway stations and bus stations to detect the affected persons. State Health Minister Mangal Pandey said medical teams have been constituted at primary health centers to intensify testing.
Nepal has given emergency use authorization to India's COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin. It has become the third country to approve the shot developed by Bharat Biotech and a state research institute. The vaccine was approved for emergency use in India in January and Zimbabwe cleared it early this month. Nepal's Department of Drug Administration said conditional permission has been granted for emergency use authorization. The Himalayan country has already received more than 2.3 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine from India, including 1 million doses as a gift. The latest approval comes as authorities in Nepal said they were suspending their vaccination campaign because of lack of supply. Nepal has reported 2,75,750 cases and 3,016 deaths so far, according to the government data. Under the Vaccine Maitri initiative of Government of India, Lao People's Democratic Republic has received the Made in India COVID-19 vaccines. A plane carrying the consignment of vaccine doses landed in Vientiane today. Yesterday, Solomon Islands had received the Made in India COVID-19 vaccines. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. India and US agreed to realize the full potential of comprehensive global strategic partnership. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and US Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin review bilateral defense cooperation, resolved to further deepen the ties. India records a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 4 crore 20 lakh doses. Centre asks state and union territories to ensure strict compliance of COVID-19 appropriate behavior among people to curb rising coronavirus cases. Nepal gives emergency use authorization to Indian COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin. Prominent leaders of political parties hit the campaign trail in poll-bound states and union territory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses election rally at Kharagpur in West Medinapo district of West Bengal. International Day of Happiness and World Sparrow Day being celebrated today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greets people on Parsi New Year Nowruz. In sports, world champion PV Sindhu to face Pornpavi Chochwang of Thailand in women's singles semi-finals of All England Open Badminton Championships today. And in cricket, India to take on England in 5th and final 2020 International in Ahmedabad at 7 this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Midday News. Campaigning in full swing in poll-bound states of West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and the Union Territory of Puducherry. In West Bengal, East and West Medinapo is at the helm of affairs regarding campaigning for the first two phases of assembly elections today, as the senior leaders of several political parties and alliances are pitching from the two districts. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public meeting at BNR grounds in Kharagpur of West Medinapo district. Speaking at the rally, the Prime Minister said he came to the meeting to make a promise of Asol Paribartan or real change. Mr. Modi promised a series of development works in the backward areas of Jungle Mahal, including supply of clean drinking water, saving the culture of scheduled tribes, setting up cold storages and improving the agricultural scenario.
अगर यहाँ सही अर्थ में कोई बंगाल की पार्टी है तो वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ बीजेपी है। बीजेपी के डीएनए में आशुतोष मुखर्जी और डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी का आचार, विचार, व्यवहार और संस्कार है। इन्हीं संस्कारों को लेकर हम बंगाल के हर क्षेत्र को विकास की नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचाना चाहते हैं।
Criticizing the TMC's manifesto, Mr. Modi alleged that the TMC leader destroyed the state in the last 10 years and now is speaking about 10 promises. TMC Supremo and Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, addressed a public meeting at Haldia in East Medinapo today. Speaking at the rally, the TMC leader alleged that women are unsafe in BJP-led states. Ms. Banerjee alleged that BJP wants to privatize government organizations. Highlighting the development works her government has been doing for the last decade, she promised to take it further if re-elected. She also promised to ensure peace and development in the state. The Prime Minister will also address a rally at Chabua in Assam today. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, in his speeches he will elaborate on BJP's development agenda. He said it is clear that both states, West Bengal and Assam, want to elect NDA in the upcoming polls. 47 assembly constituencies in Assam and 30 assembly constituencies of West Bengal will go to polls on the 27th of this month in the first phase. In the second phase, polling will be held on the 1st of April in 30 constituencies of West Bengal and 39 seats in Assam.
Meanwhile, scrutiny of nominations is being held today for single-phase assembly elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Union Territory of Puducherry and third-phase assembly election in West Bengal and Assam. Filing of nominations in the four states and the Union Territory ended yesterday. Last date for withdrawal of candidature is 22nd of March. 140 assembly constituencies in Kerala, 234 in Tamil Nadu, along with 30 assembly constituencies in Puducherry will go to polls in a single phase on 6th of April. Polling for by-election to Kanyakumari Lok Sabha seat in Tamil Nadu and Mallappuram Lok Sabha constituency in Kerala will also be held simultaneously. On the same day, 40 assembly constituencies of Assam and 31 seats in West Bengal will go to polls in the third phase. Assam will be witnessing three-phase elections while West Bengal will go to the polls in 8 phases this time. In Assam, 309 candidates have filed nomination for the third phase. For the three-phase assembly polls, various political parties have fielded singers, actors, journalists in this election. More from a Guwahati correspondent.
Song and music, puppet show, attractive slogans, use of helicopters and participation of celebrities. Voters in Assam are witnessing a high-voltage election campaign in the state this time. Apart from engaging film stars and singers in the campaign, various political parties have fielded actor, singer and journalists in the race to dispute. Among prominent candidates, actor and sitting BJP legislator Angurlata Deka is contesting at Botodroba seat. Assam Gana Parishad has given ticket to prominent Bhojpuri singer Kalpana Patwari, while former news presenter Divas Fukan would also try his fate for Raizor Dal's ticket. Musician Ajay Fukan and journalist Manjit Mahanta are contesting in Congress tickets. The BJP has introduced puppet show at Nalbari to attract the voters. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
Our Chennai correspondent reports scrutiny is underway for Tamil Nadu assembly polls.
A total of 7,176 contestants, including 1,059 women and 3 transgenders, filed their nominations yesterday. A maximum of 97 contestants filed their nomination for the Kharagpur constituency, followed by 73 in Mettur and 58 in Kangayam constituency. District electoral officers are organizing many awareness events for the 100% polling. Political parties have intensified their election campaign in the state. AIADMK Joint Coordinator and Chief Minister Edappadi K. Panichami is campaigning in Kharagpur and Viluppuram districts. DMK President M.K. Stalin campaigning in Tirunelveli and Madurai districts. Tamil Nadu Congress President K.S. Alagiri is campaigning in Chennai, and CPIM State Secretary K. Balakrishnan is campaigning in Dindigul district today. With more than 1,000 people tested positive for COVID-19 in the state, people have been asked to follow the regulations strictly. Health Department is also holding special vaccination camps in all the districts. With joy, this is R. Murthy, AR News, Chennai.
Kerala is also witnessing the heat of campaigns. We have a report.
A total of 2,138 nominations were submitted for the assembly polls. The three major fronts, LDF, UDF and NDA, are actively campaigning across the state. Meanwhile, the UDF released its election manifesto today, promising the implementation of Nyay scheme, which provide monthly aid of Rs 6,000 to the underprivileged families and increasing the welfare pension to 3,000. Manifesto also promises monthly aid of Rs 2,000 to eligible housewives, implementation of no-bill hospital and separate agriculture budget. BJP is expected to release their election manifesto soon. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Puducherry, a total of 485 persons filed their nominations, including different political parties and independent candidates. The counting of votes in the 4 states and the Union Territory will take place on 2nd of May.
Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha of RSS has elected Dattatreya Hosbole as its Sarkaryawaha or General Secretary for a period of 3 years. Dattatreya Hosbole was Seh Sarkaryawaha of RSS since 2009. He replaces Bhayaji Joshi. The election was held in the Pratinidhi Sabha held in Bengaluru. Dattatreya Hosbole, hailing from Shivamogga district in Karnataka, joined RSS in 1968. He was imprisoned for over a year under the Maintenance of Internal Security Act during the emergency. He was actively associated with JP Andolan in 1975. He was also a full-time worker of ABVP. News just in, India's Divyansh Singh Panwar, the world number 1 in the men's 10-meter air rifle, has won bronze in men's 10-meter air rifle event at the International Shooting Sport Federation ISSF World Cup being held in Delhi.
5 more states, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Meghalaya and Tripura, have completed the ease of doing business reforms as stipulated by the Department of Expenditure. With this, a total of 20 states have successfully completed these reforms. States completing ease of doing business reforms are eligible for an additional borrowing of 0.25% of gross state domestic product. International Day of Happiness is being observed today. It was established by the United Nations General Assembly on 28th of June 2012. The Assembly passed a resolution which invites member states to pursue the elaboration of additional measures that better capture the importance of happiness and well-being in development with a view to guiding their public policies. The resolution said that the pursuit of happiness is a fundamental human goal. On the occasion, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has urged everyone to shun all negative emotions and remind themselves of the importance of being happy. In a series of tweets, Mr. Naidu said, having a positive attitude, spiritual outlook, healthy lifestyle and helpful nature can lead us to a happy life. He called upon policymakers to accord importance to psychology of happiness.
World Sparrow Day is also being observed today. The day aims to raise awareness about the bird. The need for marking this day was felt due to the tremendous decrease in its population. The house sparrow is on the verge of extinction. The initiative was started by Nature Forever Society, NFS, of India, founded by Muhammad Dilawar, an Indian conservationist. He started his work helping the house sparrow in Nashik. He was also named one of the heroes of the environment for 2008 by Time magazine for his efforts. The first World Sparrow Day was celebrated in 2010 in different parts of the world. Increased use of pesticides, change in the pattern of buildings, and gardens missing from the houses have become the main factors why the number of sparrows have declined sharply in the past few years. Birds navigate by sensing the Earth's magnetic fields, and mobile radiations are known to disturb them and interfere with birds' ability to move around. Parsi New Year, Nowruz, is also being celebrated today. Nowruz marks the first day of the Parsi New Year as per the Zoroastrian calendar. It is the most widely celebrated festival of the Parsi community. Nowruz marks the first day of spring and the first day of the month of Farvardin on the Iranian calendar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today greeted people on the Parsi New Year, Nowruz. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he is praying for a year filled with happiness, wonderful health and prosperity for everyone.
As a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, a massive outreach campaign titled Conservation to Coexistence, The People Connect has been taken up by the Central Zoo Authority in Mumbai. Kickstarting this unique initiative, Veer Mata Jijabhai Bhonsle Udyan in Mumbai, which is popularly known as the Baikula Zoo, has undertaken conservation of Asian elephants and mass awareness about them through various programs and campaigns. During the course, various online competitions, programs, expert talks about Asian elephant, photography, t-shirt painting and live painting of elephant were organized in virtual mode. The campaign aims to generate awareness about the conservation of identified 75 wild animal species through continued public engagement for 75 weeks, culminating on 15th of August. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on 28th of this month. It will be the 75th episode of the monthly radio program. The Prime Minister has urged people to share their views for program. People can share their views in the Namo app or MyGov open forum. They can also dial the toll-free number 1800-117800 and record the message for the Prime Minister in either Hindi or English. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in an SMS to directly give their suggestions to the Prime Minister. The suggestions can be given till 25th of this month.
On to sports now. In badminton, world champion PV Sindhu will face Pomphavi Chochuang of Thailand today in the women's singles semi-finals of the All England Open Championships. The fifth seed defeated Akane Yamaguchi of Japan in quarterfinals yesterday. In the other semi-final, Japan's Nozomi Okuhara will take on Thailand's Ratchanok Insano. Earlier, Lakshya Sen was knocked out of the tournament after losing to Netherlands' Mark Kaljo in the men's singles quarterfinals. In cricket, India will take on England in the fifth and final 2020 international at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad today. The match is scheduled to begin at 7 in the evening. Having outsmarted England in challenging conditions, a confident India will back themselves to win the series decider. The 5-match series is levelled 2-2 now.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi, after observing mist in the morning, will have maximum temperature of around 34 degrees Celsius. It recorded the minimum of 17 degrees. Mumbai, with partly cloudy sky, may have a maximum temperature of nearly 33 degrees Celsius after registering a minimum of 23 degrees. Chennai is having clear sky with the temperature rising up to nearly 33 degrees Celsius, moving from a minimum of 21 degrees. Srinagar having partly cloudy sky with a maximum temperature of nearly 20 degrees Celsius, rising from a minimum of 6 degrees. Jammu is witnessing clear sky with a maximum temperature of around 31 degrees. The minimum was just 15 degrees. Leh with clear sky will see a maximum temperature of around 10 degrees Celsius. It recorded -5 degrees as a minimum temperature. Gilgit with partly cloudy sky will have the temperature hovering between 7 to 24 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad sky may become partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. India and US agreed to realize the full potential of comprehensive global strategic partnership. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and US Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin review bilateral defense cooperation, resolved to further deepen ties. India records a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 4 crore 20 lakh doses. Centre asks states and union territories to ensure strict compliance of COVID-19 appropriate behaviour among people to curb rising coronavirus cases. Nepal gives emergency use authorization to Indian COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin. Prominent leaders of political parties hit the campaign trail in poll-bound states and union territory. Prime Minister Modi addresses election rally at Kharagpur in West Medinapo district of West Bengal. International Day of Happiness and World Sparrow Day being celebrated today. Prime Minister Modi greets people on Parsi New Year, Nowruz. And in sports, India's Divyansh Singh Pawar wins bronze in men's 10-meter air rifle event at ISSF World Cup. World champion PV Sindhu to face Pompavi Chochuwang of Thailand in women's singles semi-finals of All England Open Badminton Championships today. And in cricket, India to take on England in 5th and final 2020 international in Ahmedabad at 7 p.m. And with that, we end the midday news.